talk about Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently 10-13 on the year and 2-8 in their last 10 games. And this is not ideal for Giannis, and the same with the Bucks organization. Giannis has put a lot of pressure on the Bucks front office over the last 3 years. He continues to have the same statement. He wants to win another championship in Milwaukee. He wants to contend for championships as long as possible, as long as he's able to play. But this is the problem. The Milwaukee Bucks have made a lot of changes over the last 4 years to help please Giannis, but it hasn't worked out. The last time that they had major postseason success was in 2021. That is when they won that championship over the Phoenix Suns. And it was a great season. But that roster at that point in time is completely different from the roster that you have today. Let's go back to 2021. You had Drew Holiday, a phenomenal point guard to have alongside a player like Giannis, a great defender, can create shots for himself and for others, and is a very good three-point shooter, especially from the corner. But you had Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, the perfect player to have alongside Giannis as a number 2 scoring option. Brook Lopez in the front court. Bobby Portis, who you could put in the starting lineup, but he's a phenomenal bench player at that point in time. And you had Mike Budenholzer, who was making so many adjustments in the 2021 season. But you no longer have those players. And everything went wrong with the Milwaukee Bucks when they traded Drew Holiday to Portland to bring in Damian Lillard. Now, Damian Lillard, one of the best point guards in the game at that point in time, can easily average over 30 points a game. You have him and Giannis, and you would think the offense is going to be insane. But they moved on from Mike Budenholzer. You now have Adrian Griffin as your head coach. The offense was about the same as it was with Drew Holiday and Giannis. But this is a big problem. Drew Holiday, amazing defender. Damian Lillard is not known for being a very good defender. And he's not. He's an undersized point guard compared to other point guards in the NBA. He's more so of an offensive focused player. But your defense takes a major step back. You're still a top seed in the Eastern Conference, but they move on from Adrian Griffin. A lot of reports came out that Giannis and Adrian Griffin, they were butting heads behind the scenes, and they did not get along. So they chose Giannis over the head coach. So they moved on from Adrian Griffin, and that is just per reports, per ESPN, CBS. I was in the building. I don't know, but they moved on from Adrian Griffin. You let Doc Rivers come in. Now he's your head coach. And the Giannis and Damian Lillard pairing, it just didn't work out. And now Chris Middleton, he's dealing with injuries with his knees. He can't stay fully healthy. But you get to the postseason, one and done. The Bucks have been one and done in the postseason over the last 3 years. A lot of it has to do with injuries to Chris Middleton at the time. The same with Giannis and Damian Lillard, who tore his Achilles last year in the first round against the Indiana Pacers. Hell, even dating back to when they had Mike Budenholzer, his last season as a head coach, they went against the Miami Heat. That is when the Heat went to the finals against the Denver Nuggets. Giannis goes down with a back injury. He misses a couple of games in that series. They move on from Mike Budenholzer. And I was scratching my head at that decision. I'm not saying that Mike Budenholzer was this great head coach, that he was on the same level as Eric Spoelstra and the same with Phil Jackson, but he brought a lot of life to the Milwaukee Bucks, and the players, they loved him. But you moved on from him. But trading Drew Holiday had a huge effect on the NBA, especially in the Eastern Conference. They traded him to Portland, but the Boston Celtics came in and they picked up Drew Holiday, and they won a championship with Drew Holiday. They paired him up with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derek White. So that one move with the Milwaukee Bucks helped the Boston Celtics win that championship. And it's crazy how one trade can hurt one team and it can really help another team when the Boston Celtics were not even involved in that trade at the point in time. They should have kept Drew Holiday around. I know when you have 2 top 10 players, you put them together, but it doesn't mean that it's going to always work out. And unfortunately, the Damian Lillard deal did not work out with Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. They had some good moments in the regular season. They won an NBA Cup for what it's worth. It's a regular season award, not a postseason. But at least you won something. But this previous offseason was very weird. Damian Lillard goes down with this Achilles injury. Giannis comes out. He has his agent meet with the organization to discuss his future. That's the first time that he's had this done. And a lot of reports came out that Giannis, he's going to request a trade. Now, I want to focus in on this for a second. Giannis has never requested for a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks. There's a lot of reports coming out that's saying, well, Giannis wanted to go to the Knicks, but the Knicks did not have enough in the trade package. That is not true. A lot of credible sources are coming out from Milwaukee, even from Giannis's camp, and they're saying that he did not request a trade. They just wanted to discuss the future with him and the organization and what would the organization look like moving forward over the next 4 to 5 years. And that has been confirmed by his agent. Giannis was overseas this summer. He was not even in America at this point in time. And that was also a report that was brought up, and it was also proven to be true by CBS, Fox, and ESPN. But over the offseason, the Bucks, they have to make a move. So instead of cutting Damian Lillard and paying him all this money outright at once, which would have been crazy, they decide to waive Damian Lillard, which is still crazy. You're waiving a point guard that you traded assets for and you traded your best point guard for because things did not work out and he goes down with his Achilles injury. So you waive Damian Lillard. You can stretch out the rest of his money over the next 4 to 5 years, and he is still owed $113 million from the Milwaukee Bucks. The reason why they did that with Damian Lillard, they wanted to have cap flexibility right now. So you bring in Miles Turner from the Indiana Pacers, and Miles Turner is a solid big man. Has some good moments with the Indiana Pacers. The definition of a 3-and-D big. They were hoping to bring in Brook Lopez 2.0, but he hasn't had that season this year. He's not going to be a number 2 scoring option alongside Giannis. Miles Turner, he's a fine player. 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 43% from the field. But the 3-point percentage has gotten better over the last month. He's shooting 38% from 3. 38.8% from 3, basically 39% from 3. But he's not averaging those many points a game. He's more so of a defensive player that's going to kick out for the 3. He's an ideal player to have alongside Giannis, but not for the amount of money that he's getting paid. It's an overpay for the Bucks, especially with you having to stretch out that money over the next couple of years to pay Dame. So that's one thing that they've done. Another trade that I have to bring up here. They traded Chris Middleton to the Washington Wizards to bring in Kyle Kuzma. And Chris Middleton, close friend with Giannis. Giannis loved playing with Chris Middleton. He did not approve of this deal. And the same with Damian Lillard. Giannis did not know. Remember when I said that Giannis was overseas during the offseason? His agent let him know via phone call, hey, they just went out, they waived Damian Lillard, they're going to bring in Miles Turner. And Giannis was shocked by this decision. He did not approve of it. He wanted to keep Damian Lillard around. He even went on social media and he was saying, hey, this is pretty messed up. Dame is a great guy. He's a great teammate. I wish that things would have worked out. So it's part 2 of him having frustrations with this organization. And Giannis has been a stand-up guy with the Bucks. But when they traded Chris Middleton, it raised a lot of eyebrows. Even though he was dealing with a lot of injuries in the regular season and in the postseason, he was still a huge part to why they won the championship. He's a mid-range killer, can get to the rim on a consistent basis. He's not the same player that he was 3-4 years ago, but he's still a solid veteran to have around. But you bring in Kyle Kuzma, who is wildly inconsistent. Now, if you listen to this channel over the last 2 years, when I covered the NBA, I am not the biggest fan of Kyle Kuzma. One night, he may give you 25 points on very good shooting splits. The next night, he may give you 0 points, zero rebounds, 0 assists. That's the type of player that Kyle Kuzma is. He's hot and he's cold, and we have seen it this season. He's not a consistent number 2. He's not even a consistent number 3. That's why the Lakers moved on. He did win a championship with the Lakers in the bubble with AD and with LeBron. Has some good moments, but he is who he is. He's a hot and cold player. When you want to win a championship in the NBA, you can't have players on your team like Kyle Kuzma, who are so inconsistent, and the same with D'Angelo Russell. But you look at all the moves that they've made, trading Drew Holiday, bringing in Dame, that didn't work out. Trading Chris Middleton to bring in Kyle Kuzma, that didn't work out. You had a young player in A.J. Johnson, who had some good moments last year with the Washington Wizards. This year, not as much. He's not playing for the Wizards currently. But you could have used him in the postseason. And yes, you have someone like Gary Trent Jr., solid bench player. Was very good in the postseason last year against the Indiana Pacers. When he gets red hot from 3, he's hot from 3. He's shooting 38% from 3 right now. Ron Rollins, he's had some big time moments this season. He's averaging 18 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 48% from the field, shooting 40% from three. But he's also a very inconsistent player, and he's very young. These are not championship pieces around Giannis. And when you look at the NBA today, when you look at certain teams like the OKC Thunder, even the Boston Celtics when they're fully healthy with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the New York Knicks, they have a lot of good players in the starting lineup, and they have a lot of depth. The Milwaukee Bucks, the starting lineup, it's not good with and without Giannis. And they barely have depth on this team outside of Gary Trent Jr. coming off the bench. Yes, you have Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis has been up and down this year. He is starting to regress as a player. He doesn't have the same impact that he once had. And the reason why I just recapped all of that is to say this. Another report came out yesterday that Giannis will have his agent meet with the Milwaukee Bucks once again to discuss his future. He can't constantly continue to do this to the Milwaukee Bucks, and the same with the Bucks to Giannis. Something has to give. He has 3 years left on his contract. Giannis is 30 years old. He is still a top 3 player in the game. You have him, Shea, and Jokic. Not in that order, but I'm just naming off the players here. The Milwaukee Bucks, they don't have many first-round picks to play around with over the next couple of years. You have a head coach in Doc Rivers, who did win a championship with the Boston Celtics. But let's be honest here. He has been coasting off of that one championship for many years now. He is not the right head coach to win a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. He wasn't the right head coach with the Los Angeles Clippers. The one thing that we know about Doc Rivers, he can take a bad team and he can make them solid in the NBA. He can take a good team and make them a main playoff contender. But he can't take a main playoff contending team and take them to that next level. He did that with the Boston Celtics once. He has blown a lot of 3-1 leads with the Clippers. And the same with the Philadelphia 76ers. He's a solid regular season coach, but in the postseason, it's not going to work out. So it's one of those situations. You have a bunch of players around Giannis. They're not good enough. Your roster isn't good enough with Giannis to contend for a championship in a weaker conference. The Eastern Conference is not as strong as the Western Conference. It's time to move on. It's time for the Milwaukee Bucks to pick up the phone and to call certain teams and to say, hey, what would you offer for Giannis? And if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, forget all the teams in the Eastern Conference. You can't have them. The New York Knicks, it's not going to happen. The same with the Miami Heat. We're not going to do that. We're not going to trade him in conference. He has to be in the Western Conference. The OKC Thunder, they're not going to trade for Giannis. They're the best team in the NBA. That's unrealistic. The Houston Rockets, they don't have enough pieces to move for Giannis either, even though Giannis and KD would be crazy, but they want to keep their young pieces. And once again, the NBA is no longer about the big three anymore. They want to have a lot of flexibility with the cap, with the second apron basically kicking everyone around, and they want to have a bunch of players that come off the bench and give you problems. So the days of the big three, it's over with. That's why the Phoenix Suns ran into the situation they were in last year with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. So the Rockets, they're not going to make a move for him. But it's one team I keep circling back to here. The San Antonio Spurs. They have a bunch of young players, and they have a very good point guard in De'Aaron Fox. This team needs a very good point guard. You bring in De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell. See if you can bring in Stephon Castle or Dylan Harper. See if you can bring in 2 or 3 of those players. Now, realistically here, De'Aaron Fox has to be in this deal. The same with Harrison Barnes, Luke Cornett, maybe 3 first-round picks, Devin Vassell, and that should be good enough. I could see the San Antonio Spurs wanting to keep Stephon Castle, and the same with Dylan Harper. They love Dylan Harper in that building, but they have a lot of guards around Wemby. You could trade some of those guards too. The Milwaukee Bucks bring in a veteran shooter in Harrison Barnes, a solid rim protector in Luke Cornett, and you have first-round picks to play around with. It's a win-win on both sides. You have Giannis and Wemby in the front court, a team that can consistently compete with the OKC Thunder. You ship him off to a team that'll make him happy. In the Bucks, you have a young core being led by De'Aaron Fox now, and the same with Harrison Barnes and Devin Vassell. See if you can bring in Stephon Castle. They may not go for that. And if they don't, you still have first round picks that you could possibly bring in some players that you like, and you can move up in the first round. And you have some movable contracts at that point in time as well. But regardless, the Milwaukee Bucks, they should move on from Giannis. It will help out both sides here. It will help out Giannis. It will help out the Milwaukee Bucks. He wants to win a championship. He is not going to win another championship in Milwaukee. They've done everything by bringing in Damian Lillard, Miles Turner, trading Chris Middleton, letting Brook Lopez go to the Los Angeles Clippers. This is not a situation where the organization, they didn't try. They tried. It just hasn't worked out. And sometimes in life, it happens. You try as much as possible. It doesn't work out. That's okay. I'm not blaming the Milwaukee Bucks for this. I'm not blaming Giannis for this. Now, in the perfect world, what do I want to see here? I want to see Giannis stay with the Milwaukee Bucks for his entire career. You've won a championship. You're an MVP in this league with the Milwaukee Bucks. This is the same team that drafted you. They helped develop you to that next level, even though Jason Kidd was the head coach at that point in time. He's had so many great moments in Milwaukee. When he won that championship and he brought out his wife and his kids, that was a great moment. Some all-time greats with their teams, they never win championships. At least Giannis has one. And my fear is this. We've seen a lot of players move around over the last couple of years in the NBA, and they don't win championships. He's going to get his jersey hung up in the Raptors regardless. I fully understand that. But I would love to just see him stick with his team that drafted him. Look at Devin Booker and the Suns. He may never win a championship with the Phoenix Suns. But if he stays with the Suns, he's going to go down as an all-time great. But this situation is different. You've won a championship here. Maybe I'm just old school. But I love when a player stays with one team, especially when the team have tried to build pieces around you. When they've tried to bring in players to your liking. But it seems like whatever the Milwaukee Bucks do, they just mess up. But he hasn't requested a trade. But you continue to have your agent meet with the organization and you pressure them, something has to give. I would love to see him have 2 feet in with the Milwaukee Bucks and just go full steam ahead. And I get the argument, they're wasting his prime. So that's why I said, move on from it. Regardless of what happens, he's going to go down as an all-time great in Milwaukee. But let me know in the comment section below, what should the Milwaukee Bucks do with Giannis? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.